Hi everyone, I'm Chase, co-founder of Chapter X, and we recently rebranded to Sleek this week. So we are a social infrastructure platform, and yeah, I guess maybe just kick things off. We can go down the line, and everyone can do a quick introduction of who you are, what you do, and then we'll get right into the topic of what real-world use cases of NFT means.
Hi everyone, my name is Kim Nortman. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Telly. My quick background, I started my career as a writer. I ended up working as a lawyer after that, working on social justice and pay equity issues. Jumped over to working with creators in 2015 to help creators build direct-to-consumer businesses, and then co-founded Telly in 2020.
Hello everyone, my name is Mahinth Gopal. I am a career artist. I've been a painter in real life and doing shows for over 40 years. And on the other side of things, I'm also a management consultant advising strategy and sustainable development to some of the top companies, like you can imagine. So good to be here and look forward to the conversation.
I'm Raymond St. Martin. I'm the co-founder of the Social Identity of Objects protocol, and I'm the CEO of Asayo, which is a company that works with digital identity and protecting the historicity of physical objects, as well as tracking and tracing digital assets online as they're moved across chains, to make sure that we don't lose data. If we're going to be trusted with your prized objects, we want to make sure that if you move chains, if for some reason it moves, we don't lose data. So we're really into moving things really fast, not losing them, and securing them.
Yeah, no, thanks for the introduction. And I guess a quick intro of myself as well. I'm previously, I was at Binance Labs leading crypto investments. So I did a few interesting ones, including Layer Zero Labs. I led that round for seed, and it's interoperable solutions. I also did a couple of GameFi projects and worked with some of the GameFi funds like Animoca brands. And now I'm working on my own company. We are a social, so we help people to connect in real life. So we want to redefine what LinkedIn means to people. And our card, we actually have a card product that helps you to connect in real life. It's something that looks like, it's like a metal card. Oops. It's like a metal card that looks like this, and you can use it to tap anyone and send a quick intro to others. And yeah, maybe to kick things off, so I guess maybe if you guys want to just quickly share what NFT's real life use cases mean to you, and we can start a discussion from here. Maybe Kim, if you want to.
Sure. Yeah, so having worked with independent creators for a long time, one of the core things that I discovered was that it's hard to make a living off of being an independent creator, off of direct fan support, and really directly own those relationships. So as I mentioned, I was working helping creators build direct-to-consumer businesses, and what we found was these businesses worked for top talent who could afford a lot of custom development and large content teams, and then they really never own their relationships, right? We see that the relationships are owned at the platform level. Folks are nervous, they lose an audience or an algorithm changes, and they don't know who their fan base is. And so we have been very, very focused on, how do we help creators and fans directly own those relationships, and then actually allow creators to be able to reward those fans and fans to unlock something of real value. So really moving beyond the world where you sort of have the Web2 fans and then folks who are collectors into a world where you're able to identify your earliest fans, right? The first person who discovered you at an early concert, you're able to actually reward them throughout your career as you grow and grow and grow, and they're able to unlock things like exclusive content, access, tickets, products, and really that NFT becomes an identity and access key that unlocks real value and that allows you to own a relationship over time. And so very, very excited about digging a little bit more into that, but give a high-level intro and then we can jump back.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, actually, maybe we can just jump into one more question. I'm just really curious because a lot of people talk about ownership in the space, right? But what kind of benefits do you think ownership of your identity can bring to people that Web2 technology cannot enable?
Yeah, so one of the things we've been really passionate about is actually how do we bridge what's useful in the Web 2 space with what can't be done in the Web 2 space, right? So taking the aspects of things and actually combining them all together. So we found that the ability to actually turn that NFT into a key and have really, really robust token-gated sites that can actually tell much more meaningful stories with exclusive content and even taking advantage of Web 2 tools behind there, but having that relationship be owned between the creator and their fan, and then having it be owned forever, right? So another huge thing that we found was actually, if you started kind of a digital fan club, you shut it down, like it was gone. It was gone forever. That relationship really didn't exist anymore, and you're just constantly reinventing the wheel, reinventing every single time. But if you're actually able to establish that, have that kind of relational database of your core fans that exists forever, that is independent of any platform, it's much, much more powerful, both on the fan side and the creator side.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I think it's something that I think about a lot as well, and I think there's like positives and negatives. So on the negative side, it's also if you have everything there forever, that causes some issues, as you have seen from a lot of the NFT collections. In the past, a lot of them really sort of failed. But the NFT is always there. Then the owner has to just like constantly. It's like a struggle to keep it going sort of forever, and that causes a lot of issues, with that. So it's interesting to see like what that will evolve. I think the next bull run will probably be sparked by a new form of NFT use case. So I'm really excited to see what it is. And I guess Mahinth, if you want to share a little bit more about your view on the real use cases of NFTs as well.
It is not clearly defined, and there are a lot of challenges. So personally, being a show artist, how I see it is, I'm using NFTs as a tube of paint. So let's say the color red was not invented, and you got red, it will show through in your canvas. It's a new paint. So I'm going to see how NFTs as a new paint can be introduced into my art. That's why it's been taken so long for me to come out as NFT, but never was out of it. I was always looking at a lot of these challenges, as you said, creators creating images and then struggling to sell, etc., exists. But developing an identity and a real function of that integrating technology and art, I felt was where the solution was for the future use case. And we have to use creativity, and I'm a strong believer of creativity, was trained in creativity for many years. I don't know if that is even a topic, but I'm trying to do that and build that value to the people before I even introduce anything with my art. But again, it will be a stop for me in the future use case, because I do gallery shows in New York or some other Singapore or some other place. So there will be an NFT show, and then I move on again to LA, for example. I cannot be saying that this is where I exist. So this is a new medium done here, and then move on, maybe again an NFT online show or etc. But that's how I'm consuming it.
Right. Yeah, Raymond, if you want to.
Yeah, I think I've been here since 2019. So I was at NFT.NYC when there were 400 people here. And the use case then was artists trying to continue royalties. That was the function, right? How can I create art and then have royalties and begin to get paid for the work that I've done before? And then the word utility started to come into the space, right? It's like, I can use it to unlock something, I can use it to create content, then the problem becomes, well, how do I create content that's worthwhile, that makes it worth you buying this thing, right? And so one thing that I'm excited about today is the companies like Pablo's, which is a collection that I'm in right now, how they're using their own token to create ownership in a company. So they're creating a brand behind the NFT and then using the token to become ownership, as if you are literally an owner. So as they create the brand and they create new businesses, those NFTs are your shares in the business. I think that's great for like today in the present moment. I love it. Love what Pablo's are doing. Now in the future, I think what's really important here is that every object in time and space is unique. Everything. It's separated by time, it's separated by space, at the very least, if not materials. So creating globally verifiable unique IDs within a system that allow us to understand the world around us better and to be able to trust history and protect history and historicity. If we can do that and we can capture the human experience within that level, we'll create new levels of value. I think NFTs are the key to that, because the only way that we can have trust in a system is to have one base system that accounts for everything. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't multiple systems, there are multiple systems doing their own things, but in order to get to that huge wealth of knowledge, that huge wealth of history, and to be able to mine it and look at it and understand it, everyone has to begin playing together. So we have a lot of work to do. Like you mentioned, how do you make things disappear, right, on chain? Like in our protocol, we make sure that everything is private first, and then you choose permission layers for what you do with the thing that you save. But even then, once you've made it public, it's recorded somewhere. So then we have to hide it. So then we have to go in and create this like really weird block that no one will hopefully ever find. But there is no real disappearing. So at the end of the day, like those are problems that need to be solved, and we need to have real conversations about that. We need to decide how are we going to make things that are immutable and public able to then be removed from the record by the owner of that record. So there were a lot, there's a whole list of things we can go through. And I think about how we create a consortium of people, like-minded people, that can begin agreeing on these things. So we're speaking the same language. I know the language is NFT. To me, that means art, but it's not even art. NFT is a token. It's a hash that allows me to move my art and exchange my art to something else. But when I think about it as a unique object in the universe with its own convention that never breaks.
Yeah, I think the issue of privacy is interesting because if you own that NFT, you supposedly can also take the NFT off chain, right? But right now, I think that's not really possible. So I think that will be something important. There's a lot of privacy protocols out there trying to solve this issue, and I guess that's actually a good point that you brought up about the future, right? So I guess Raymond, like, what do you think the future NFT looks like? Is it going to be driven by Web2 companies venturing into NFT space, or is it more like startup that becomes bigger and really drive this forward, or is it maybe like some more of those brands in this space that already exist, like Yuga Labs, that will drive this forward?
Yeah, I hope it's not the big companies. I have faith that it's too arduous a course for them to change their current path. I would love to see it continue to be something that's inspired by artists and by the creative people here. Like, if those of you that are here for the first time, like, this reminds me of the 2019 crowd. It's like, if you're here because you're passionate about this technology, you're a thinker, you're an artist, and you're getting behind what's happening. So I hope it's us that do this, the collective we, versus Google deciding to just create Polygon tokens for everything in their universe, and then you decide what you want to buy and sell, and then creating a contract to make it. It'll just be so messy. I think it'll come from us, and I think it'll come from a consortium of us that make those decisions and create these protocols to give us the freedom to not just create in the artistic sense, but to create in the storytelling sense, to take things together. I mean, poets and writers, authors, historians, archivists, people that have their own creative styles of doing things, being able to get credit for the things that they create, which are collections of things in a story, and then to refute them back and forth, and to not lose it. If you think about the Library of Alexandria, if the Library of Alexandria had not burned, how much more knowledge would we have today? And how much written history is on our earth right now? How much oral history is still living within each of us, all the way up to the centenarians that are still around? Like, that's our story. Like, to me, I think that's what I'm most excited about seeing in the future, is this accountability and transparency and connectivity over our history. So we have truly pushing understanding and pushing knowledge and pushing creators and pushing storytellers to create based on a platform that like, maybe what you're seeing isn't true, but it's up to us to determine if it's true or not. But we do know that it came from this source. And we do know that this source plus this source begin to equal some layer of trust. No perfection, but some level of trust in what we're able to create. And the only way to do that is in a system that is based on non-fungible tokens, not NFTs as art, but the actual technology, the globally verifiable unique ID being stored on hash and being stored on chain.
Yeah, I would say piggybacking on that, what we've seen today, right, is that a great Web3 activation starts really from a Web3 mindset, and that is a mindset around kind of collaboration and not working within this sort of zero-sum game. So I do think it's going to take a lot of partnership of folks working in sort of different parts of the stack on privacy, on consumer adoption, on all of these pieces actually coming together. And I think you're going to get hopefully a lot of input from artists, creators, startups in the space. As far as sort of the big companies coming in, I mean, I think what we're seeing is, not kind of the will to like really solve the consumer adoption problem. We saw like Meta get in, then Meta get out, and I think once we see that piece solved on that side, sure, they're gonna jump in, right? Like they're not gonna sit it out, but I do think you're gonna have some new players who are involved in really like getting through those really meaty issues to move the space along, and you're gonna see new folks really involved in that.
Right, yeah, and I think the point about 2019 also it sort of rings a bell for me because so I have been very involved in the Solana ecosystem, and I've been involved in Monkey DAO, which is one of the biggest collections there since I think 2021, and I've really seen the growth there from just a couple of guys trying to do like a picture or a JPEG to really a community of builders who's always going to every event and like meeting and building, and even today everyone's having like a blast just hanging out and building things together. So that's something that's really inspirational for me. And I guess Mahinth, do you want to also share a little bit about your view on what the future looks like to you?
I mean, I think I indicated I don't know what the future looks like, but in my opinion, one of the key challenges, the future generation, irrespective of how it looks like, is sustainable development. And the Security and Exchange Council now has financial reporting and green line reporting associated with it. So one of the things I'm thinking about is this future of this tech. How is it going to support the corporations, even the artists or creators, in doing things that are aligned with some of the great initiatives that are going on in terms of things that impact the planet and sustaining the green development. So that's one of the areas which I am also thinking, and I'm hoping that some of the resources and energy that is directed through NFTs and these type of technologies contribute to those aspects as well. It's a very narrow view, but I think that's one of the ways I think the future is going to track. Of course, for business applications, there is track and trace, cold chain logistics, all of that, which I'm aware of in terms of how the chain works and make sure that the sequence of the events is done chronologically. Those things are aggressively developing. But that this is at a much higher level of an overarching topic that we have across the planet.
What's interesting about, can I hop in here, about sustainability right now is that when you're able to understand the supply chain and you're able to understand the transactions that generate outcomes and then surface those as impact, then we can truly make better decisions, right? And then if that data can't be erased by a corporation that doesn't want you to see a report, like we all know the FDA, right? They'll run a report and they'll have amazing findings by incredible scientists that they can't publish because the report was to find one thing out. And then they'll take that one thing and extrapolate it into a statistic and send it out there. But there have been amazing breakthroughs that we're never exposed to because of that. So having transparency in the supply chain and around events like that will give us that ability to see and hold people accountable for what they're doing.
Do you guys think that do you guys think that sustainability in Web3 will look, different to Web2? Like, for example, there's a lot of, carbon, I think that sort of green carbon trading that's enabled on blockchain recently. Do you think like NFTs can be a big role in that area as well? Any of you guys?
Go ahead.
I mean, in terms of transactionally recording it, it will play a big role. And I think in determining the accuracy, this is a debated subject in many companies on how the offsets work. But I think in terms of how much offsets they require, it's a technical term of scope 1, scope 2 reporting, and those aspects, I think, if you look at it like logistics, then there is going to be more possibilities on accurately tracking and tracing about employees and how many aircrafts or travel legs did they take, what's the carbon impact of that particular flight, and you will have less possibility of fudging data with putting all of this on a blockchain and tokenizing, etc. That's how I see it.
100%, and then it'll evolve over time, right? So each of these are inputs. They're each an individual thing that exists in a system. And the more that you track and trace the data related to it, the more it grows, the more it shrinks, the more it moves, the more we understand it. So yeah, we totally, if we can define it, right, and then we can improve reporting, then obviously, and create transparency, then we'll have more trust, right? And we'll make better decisions without AI.
Yeah, I think trust and ownership, these are like the common underlying themes here. And I think we all agree that the future is bright for NFTs use cases in our daily lives. And I guess for me, I'm also excited beyond the ESG stuff, the art stuff. I'm also excited about the intersection between finance and art, because I think at the core of Web3 is how it enables financial transactions without borders, right? And the innovation of financial, asset swaps and things like that. That's going to change how the traditional finance works. And then the NFTs have shaped what art means to people, how art is transacted, and how that is going to intersect in the future. I think that will be interesting, and how things are different countries view it, and different countries collaborate on that part. I think that's also going to be something that I'm constantly looking into and excited to see how things shape out to be in the future. Yeah, so I think with that, if you guys have anything else to add, and I guess if not, we can just yeah, I guess 2 minutes to go. If you I guess in the audience, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand, ask anything. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Raymond, you have something?
Yeah, I will say one thing that's happening right now, like I've shared a lot around what I think the future looks like in historicity and archives. It's happening right now. So we're working with the government of Barbados, with the Prime Minister directly, to begin to track and trace the history of the transatlantic slave trade through archival records. So this is, everything we're talking about, it's still new, like it's happening right now. And so this isn't just forward thinking, like we're actually here now. And we're in a conference of builders. Like, have you noticed like how many builders are here? Like people around you that have actual products that are working now? And it's really, really exciting to see this. In fact, talking to the founders before I came of NFT.NYC, they said, it's amazing, everyone that's signing up has built something now. Like in 2019, it was like these dreams and ideas like of what a connected world could look like, or how we could enforce these, how we could open up networks and how we can open up relationships, how we could serve artists and musicians and fans. And now you walk around and they've built this. Like we're living in a world with working technology right now. That's only gonna get better. And so my last thing is I hope that we can find a way to work together. If it's a consortium of people that are working together with open hands, for the betterment of humanity, I'd really, really like that a lot.
Yeah, I think collaboration is awesome. We also have seen over the past few days, different NFT communities coming together. Kalenos or Doodles, all these guys, they're still like building and creating new stuff. We have other bigger events as well. I think Azuki is having something in LA in June, and there's a bunch of things happening that's people are trying to build a better world together by collaborating. So that's really exciting to see. And I guess Kim, you just have one more thing to add.
Sure. Last thing I'll say, totally agree. Coming from a team sports background, it's all partnership, collaboration, working together. And then the more we tell stories of real people doing real things, the sooner we will bring the future, right? Like talking about people and not just technology. I think that's going to bring us into the future faster.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, with that, thank you everyone for coming. It has been really fun to share all these things with you guys. Yeah, Thanks for having us.